Hi, welcome. In this short video and exercises, we'll look at the major muscle groups of the core, the center of our being, how we use it to help us move, sit, and dance through life. We'll look at some exercises and the energy centers that are all involved with the awareness, the functions, and again, movement of our beings. So I'm sitting on a folded blanket, something to lift my sits bones as we sit and get a visual of all these muscles, their placements, and their functions. This helps to support my pelvis and to lengthen through my spine, up through the crown of the head. Maybe then you can feel the support of the core that we're about to learn about and relax the shoulders a little bit. However you're seated, feel into the space beneath you through your feet and your seat. Take a couple of nice, easy, deep and gentle breaths. Thorough on the inhale and complete on the exhale. We'll start with superficial muscles. Not to say that they aren't as important, but that means that they're on the top. And so we all know the six-pack muscle right down the center front is the Rectus Abdominis. And because it's on top, it's the one we all see and think about and probably exercise the most. This attaches here at the bottom of the rib cage and brings us down to the top of the pubic bone. Of course, it's going to help us with this folding and crunching exercise, and that's how you strengthen it and create more awareness is through crunches and sit-ups and that sort of flexion. Underneath it and to the sides, we've got these oblique muscles, one set on either side running this way and one set on either side running this way. And these are the internal and external obliques, and they help us with side stretching and twisting. So you can imagine that the twists and stretches along the sides are going to bring first length and strength to these large and very thin but very essential muscle groups. Now on the inside, we've got the Transverse Abdominis, the TVA, and this is, well, it's my favorite muscle, but if you don't know about it yet, you'll love it too. It's going to run the whole gamut of the core, right? So we're looking at the top of the pelvis. If you can trace along there, that's where the bottom of the Transverse Abdominis is, from just about an inch or two on either side of the spine. And it's going to attach up here at the top, the base of the rib cage. So maybe you run your fingers along the base of your ribs, and that's where the top of your Transverse Abdominis is. So all inside there is this one band of muscles holding in all of your organs, creating support and like a bridge between these two major bone structures, right? So you can imagine this is our base, our support. And when we're sitting, it's being used as we're breathing. It's being expanded and contracted. And then of course, as we lift, we really want to tap into that strength, that core strength. And this is mostly an awareness muscle, so we'll look at ways to bring awareness to it and also strength through that awareness. Behind that, or inside of that, and behind our all our organs, is this Quadratus Lumborum. It's like a rope on either side, and it attaches to some some ribs and along the spine at the top, and it comes down to the inside of these big pelvic bones in the back. As you can imagine, this is also for support. We really wear these out when we sit for long periods of time. So when you get a sore back, you know, if it's persistent, check into a slip disc or other problems. But if it's just sore every once in a while and it goes away, it's very possible it's your Quadratus Lumborums. And so being able to stretch and move and strengthen through those will also help you as you move through life. Let's look at the energy centers that is involved in our core. This is a major chunk of our bodies. At the base, we have the root, the Muladhara chakra. This energy center is connected to the root of our existence. You can look at it in terms of base security needs like food and shelter, and that's at the pubic bone. And so, you know, this is all involved in our core. You can think about these as we're seated, we're rooted, we're actually balancing our root chakra if we so choose to bring that awareness. Just below our navel, we have the Svadhisthana chakra, the sacral energy center, and here is our creative, our power, our sex drive, and all that brings us into our power, our control and being. We can associate this a lot with the hips and emotions, and you imagine we store a lot of emotions in our hips, and that can bring imbalance to the sacral area. So maybe some hip openers and some pelvic movements can tap into the balance of our Svadhisthana center. And then up here at the top of our core, we've got the Manipura chakra. It's the solar plexus right at the base of our sternum. This is digestion and processing. It's our willpower and our motivation. It's sort of the I am of the chakras. So it's moving up into our ego and how it fits into, the bigger picture. And maybe you can imagine that those crunches that bring strength and that six-pack look to us can tap into this energy center. And so from there up, we have the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And of course, these are all important, but if you just imagine that focusing on the core is going to bring us balance to these bottom three chakras, maybe this brings you a little bit more in tune with where you're going and what you're trying to accomplish when you work on core muscles. So we'll start on our backs with our knees bent, and again you can put a blanket out for more support, or simply roll onto your mat. We'll start in constructive rest, which is a very anatomically neutral position. If your feet are about hip width apart and that brings balance to your knees, you can leave them there or bring them out to the sides, let your knees fall in. The arms can be out to the sides with the palms face up. And we're allowing our muscles to relax before we begin to engage them. Feel length along the spine, from the tailbone up through the rib cage, through the neck, and even extending beyond that through the crown of the head. And so if you'd like more length in the back of your head or your neck, then you can lift your head and Bring a little bit more stretch. You might feel your chin drop down towards your chest a little. Feel your shoulders root down towards the mat. Feel the sacral bone, the big plate above the tailbone. Let that rest down towards the mat. And the feet, if you feel a lot of pressure in your heels, then simply walk your feet towards you just a little bit to get the weight out towards the toes and find a nice balance of weight distributed amongst the entire foot. And settle in here, taking a few gentle breaths, filling the belly, filling the chest, maybe all in one, from inside to outside expansion. And then follow that breath all the way out through the nose without too much pause. Begin again. And let's look at those muscles again. So maybe you can feel this muscly ridge running from the bottom of the sternum to the top of the pubic bone. And maybe you kind of draw those two together. And then the navel will reach towards the spine, and you can feel that engagement, just awareness even of this lighting up and release. And try it one or two more times just to start exploring. Doesn't matter if you don't feel what's happening yet. So make sure that you relax between each engagement. Great. And bring your arms back out to the sides. Bring your feet together and take your knees over to the left. And feel a stretch along the sides. These are your obliques stretching out. Inhale to the center and exhale to the right side to feel the obliques on your left stretching. Maybe come up one more time. And you can run through those again. Also feels nice just to warm up the muscles. You can put your hands palm down to support yourself if you're moving a little faster. And pause in the center. Great. And now moving into the transverse abdominis, that big cummerbund of a muscle wrapping all the way around, providing that support and lift and strength. We can think about tapping into other muscle groups in order to reach those, because if you engage everything else, you don't really know if your transverse abdominis is contracted because all these other muscles are in the way, right? But we've got this diaphragm at the base of the rib cage that opens down like a parachute when we inhale, and it contracts inward and upward on the exhale. So try that a few times. Feel the release and expansion on the inhale, and the contraction and uplift on the exhale. Everything here draws in and up, and imagine the transverse abdominis going with it. Keep breathing on your own rhythm, expanding and releasing on the inhale, and release or contracting and drawing in and up on the exhale. Okay, so keep breathing and think about the pelvic floor as this band of muscles stretching from sits bones to sit bone on the bottom, and then from the pubic bone to the tailbone, crossing over it, right? So we've got this other diaphragm, right? We've got the respiratory diaphragm up at the top of the core. We've got this pelvic floor diaphragm at the bottom of the core, and it's going to have the same action. So on the inhale, it expands and relaxes, and On the exhale, it contracts and lifts up. Keep going with this awareness, this visual. And then as you feel the contraction, imagine that the transverse abdominis is contracting with it. And you might be able to feel that not only with this engagement of the navel towards or the belly button towards the spine, but also you can take your fingers just inside your hip bone and press down in there, and when you really contract, you can feel an engagement in there. It's just another way. I wouldn't go too far with that being your telltale, but you can try it. See if you feel anything on that contraction of each diaphragm and that awareness of the transverse abdominis all coming together. That inward, upward motion. And now try and relax this effort into a 1-to-1 ratio breath. So as you inhale, maybe 4 counts. Exhale would also be 4 counts. If that works for you, great. And if not, you need more, try 5. You need less, try 3. But the inhales always match the exhales. And if you bring a little bit of constriction to that breath, you can hear the sound of the ocean in the back of your throat. And this also helps with the contraction on the exhale. Okay, keep your awareness of that as well as the contraction of the muscles on the exhales. Bring your knees to your chest and begin to roll along your spine. If this is too much, then roll over onto your side and we'll all meet up and seated. We're going to continue to roll through that and into a tabletop. Placing wrists under shoulders and knees under hips. Put the weight that's coming down out into the fingers and towards the tops of the toes to broaden your base and bring some relief to your knees and wrists. Also, if you need some support or cushion under your knees, then bring a folded blanket across your mat. And here begin to feel the engagement of the core as we lengthen through the spine from the tailbone up through the crown of the head. So again, think about the skull lifting or stretching away to bring your neck or chin a little bit towards your chest. Feel length in the back of your neck. And feel that inward, upward on the exhale motion of the core and the diaphragms to extend your tailbone towards the wall behind you. And so your belly button might come up towards your spine. Your chest might lift away from your core, broadening your shoulders. And keep breathing this 1-to-1 breath. Check in again, the length of your neck and the breadth of your shoulders, the engagement of that transverse abdominis. And we'll test this by finding even distribution of weight amongst all 4 of your table legs, and then lifting, pushing through the heel of your right foot. Maybe lifting the foot and feeling the strength of your core lifting the leg. And then maybe bring the left arm up too. And as the more that you tap into the strength of the core, the more balance you might find you have, the easier it is to extend through arm and leg. One more strong breath here. Release back to your 4-legged table. Find even Wait through them all again and check in again for the length of your spine. The weight out through fingers and toes. The lift of the navel towards the spine. The length of the low back. Breadth of the shoulders. And now, without compromising your table, push through your left heel. Maybe you lift that foot. Maybe you support it with the toes on the floor. And then you can bring your right arm out in front of you. One more strong breath, keeping the core in place. Return to your tabletop. Great. And then bring your hips towards your heels for a nice relieving child pose. You can now stretch through your arms, walk your fingertips forward or out to the sides. You can lengthen your breath. Nice cleansing exhales. Rise up through a rounded spine back into tabletop and then into a comfortable seat. And here we'll do a couple of twists to tap into the obliques. Bringing the right knee out in front of you. Settle into the feeling of both sits bones on the ground before you bring your left foot up to the outside of the right knee. Now you might find a nice stretch here. So settle in, feel your feet in your seat connect with the mat beneath you. Wrap your elbow around your knee. And then you can take your left arm up and behind you with the left hand sit next to the hip bone. And begin to feel this nice stretch through the core, the sides. So your obliques stretching on one side and contracting on the other. As you inhale, lengthen through the spine. As you exhale, settle into this twist. One more breath here, lengthening and twisting. On your next breath, unwind. Bring the feet or the legs back into a neutral seated position for about 2 breaths. And then bring the left knee in front of you. Right foot off to the side. Settle into the sits bones before bringing the right foot across to the outside of your left knee. Begin to feel that stretch through the right hip and TFL. And then take your left elbow around your right knee. Right arm comes up and over. Hand settles behind the hip. Begin to engage the twist by breath, inhaling, lengthening the spine, and exhaling, feeling the twist, tapping into the contraction and stretching of the oblique muscles on either side of your core. Keep your neck in line with the spine and let it gradually make its way around as well. Relax where you can. One more beautiful breath here. And use your next breath to unwind and come back towards center. Settling into neutral one more time for about 2 breaths. And then we're going to move into our final core pose for the Rectus Abdominis, the boat pose. We'll take a couple of variations here. We're really going to be balancing on these sits bones, so if you want extra cushion, you can use your folded blanket underneath your sits bones. But we'll find our base position is with our feet out in front, knees bent, about hip width apart. And you can hold behind your thighs. You can also put your hands behind you, but if you put your hands behind your thighs, you might find might be less tempted to rest on those hands and wrists. So we'll try this. And this already might engage the core because we want our chest to shine forward and the shoulders to relax behind us. So we use the strength of the core to support us here. Take a couple of one-to-one breaths. We use the sound of the ocean. We'll call it the Ujjayi breath, the warrior's breath. So tap into your Ujjayi breath. This warms the muscles and brings focus to our movements and posture. And we'll spend about 2 breaths with just our legs up in front of us. You can keep the calves parallel to the mat and do your best to maintain this V without compromising. So really begin to tap into that exhale, drawing everything together and upwards. So when you're ready, one leg at a time. Relax the shoulders. Keep the neck in line with the spine. At the end of your next exhale, you can set them back down one at a time. If you need release between each exercise, just draw the knees in as best you can. Hug them tight, lengthen the spine, and allow your chest to relax over. And then come back out to your base position, tapping into the placement of the feet, the foundation of our sits bones, the structure of the core, relaxation of the shoulders. And now we'll do just the arms. So without compromising, again, the foundation pose. Bring the arms straight out in front of you. Hold this for 2 or 3 breaths. Get a feel for the shoulders in space, the lift of the chest. At the end of your next exhale, bring the hands back into place. You can wiggle and relax a little bit if you need to, or hug the knees in again. Take another nice deep breath in whichever release pose you've chosen. And bring the feet back into position, hands behind the knees. And we're going to do these together. You can, if you're flexible and strong, you can take your feet all the way up, extending the legs completely. Or we can keep the parallel legs as we did before. We're going to do arms and legs together. So when you're ready, maybe one leg at a time. Tap into that inward, upward expansion of the core, and the arms come out as well. Really feel that you're not compromising the strength of the core, the lift of the chest, the relaxation of the shoulders, and keeping the neck in line with the spine. The sound of the ocean brings strength and focus. At the end of your next exhale, release everything. Hug the knees in towards the chest again. And make your way onto your back for a nice final relaxation. After we stretch everything out, Work your way down nice and easy into a straight line, if you will. Bring your arms up overhead. We'll take banana asana for just a couple of breaths on either side. I recommend holding it longer if you have the time, maybe right before bed or as you're getting out of bed is really nice. Start walking the heels over to your left. Keep the pelvis planted. And you might take an extra step by crossing the right ankle over the left. And now we're going to reach the arms over to the left as well. You can grab the left wrist with the right hand just to anchor it. Move your neck to where it's comfortable. And now we're feeling this stretch from our hip all the way out through the right side of the leg, down to the toes. And we're feeling a stretch from the hip all the way up the right side through the shoulder, armpit, elbow, wrist, and fingers. Just take a couple of breaths here, grounding through the back side of your body as the right side opens to the sky. Send the breath where you need to in order to bring comfort or relief or maybe more inspiration. Let the exhale be thorough as well. One more breath here. And we'll slowly make our way one limb at a time back to center. I just do the arms first a little bit, and then the legs. Hang out here in neutral for about 3 breaths. Feel your into the left side of your body. And then feel the right side and notice any sensations that came up since you completely stretched the right side. And now keeping the pelvis planted, we're going to take everything to the right. Since I have props in my way, I'm going to move my whole body first. And then I do the legs first. So take the legs out to the right. And if you want a little extra stretch, take that left ankle over the right. Settle in here and now start walking the arms over to the right. And you can grab the right wrist with the left hand to anchor the left hand. The neck in line with the spine, and immediately draw your attention and draw a line of energy from the hip down the outside of the left leg, through the ankle to the toes, and then draw a line of energy from the left hip up through the left side of the body, shoulder, armpit, elbow, wrist, out through the fingers. Take breaths as you need to keep this line of energy flowing. And relax where you can, whether it's through your shoulders, your low back, your neck. At the end of your next exhale, begin to unwind one limb at a time. I'm doing my arms first, just a little bit. To center, legs, a little bit. To center, and I'm going to make my way back to the middle of my mat. And from here, you can take a nice relaxation pose, such as Shavasana, or constructive rest, which was with the knees bent and the feet on the floor. And that is really nice if you have issues with your low back and it doesn't want to lay flat. Use any props that you need to get warm and comfortable for the next few breaths, and you can continue on past the video because we'll end by settling down into the earth, by thanking these core muscles that have done so much work for our lives. And today, as we brought awareness to each one, sometimes awareness is the exercise that we need in the moment, rather than chasing an hour practice of core-driven exercises. You can create awareness and effort in the moment, in your posture, in your movement. And with that gratitude, you can release all effort. Allow each breath to bring relaxation and release, not only to the core, but your whole body. The whole body relax. And so thank you for joining me in this practice. May each breath guide you to greater relaxation and awareness as you move and dance through life. Namaste.